Joining us now, right now is Captain Saurabh Kalia's father, NK Kalia, who's joining us from Dharamshala. Mr. Kalia, good evening. I hope you can hear me. This is Arnab here, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Kalia, you got an assurance in August 1999 from the then Foreign Affairs Minister on their commitment to bring justice to your son. Now, 16 years have passed. Now you know what this government has said, that it cannot take this matter up at the level of an international court. Are you feeling let down?
It is unfortunate and disturbing also that all these years, whether it was a NDA government or whether it was UPA government, they were promising very all claims that this will be done this way, that way, but ultimately it proved to be all hollow.
So what you have to say to all those people who say that if this case is taken up at an international level, that if it is taken up at the level of the International Court of Justice, then this will mean this will amount to an internationalization of the Kashmir issue. Do you agree with them?
No, I'm afraid in all these 16 years, this case was even discussed with Pakistan. I'm afraid.
So what you're saying is that forget international forum, this case was even not taken up at a bilateral level with Pakistan, and that is what disappoints you.
Of course.
But it was an election issue. In 2013, Mr. Kalia, the BJP kept picking up this issue, accusing the Congress government. Now they are pretty much doing the same thing. So was this just about politics then, in your view?
No, it is all hurting. In fact, all political parties they sing the same song, and it may be on a different language, or it may be in a different mode, but inside they are more or less alike.
More or less aligned, sir? Why do you say so?
No, this is my experience in the last 16 years.
Sir, in 2013, when the BJP picked up the issue, did you feel at that point of time that here is a political party which feels strongly about it, that if they come to power, they might take it up differently?
No, it appeared, but in fact nothing happened. They are now singing the same song.
So has anyone from the Modi government reached out to you personally?
No, they did not. Now I pin my hope only on the apex court of India. Here this case is pending, and I'm quite optimistic that the Honorable Supreme Court of India take notice of it, do something concrete, and instruct Indian government to act in appropriate manner at appropriate level.
Sir, in the past, between 2013 2014, this whole issue was a political issue. At that time, did any BJP leaders, local level or any other state level, reach out to you and promise you that they would pick up this case?
I'm hearing all this promising for the last 16 years. But in fact, nothing has happened.
So there's a mountain of evidence which exists. There is a post-mortem report. There is an admission by a Pakistani soldier last year. It was on tape. You know about it. So if the government wanted to, it could have picked up the issue quite aggressively and used it to expose Pakistan.
No, I'm a humble citizen of India. As a person, I cannot do much. It is up to, but this issue is between two nations. Only Indian government can act accordingly.
But Mr. Kalia, you know what, and by the way, we have, if, with your permission, there have a lot of people across India who would like to just speak to you and you know, share their views on this. Because I want you to know, Mr. Kalia, that you are not alone. And that as far as this country is concerned, the political parties may have let you down, but the people of India are very much with you. And so, Mr. Kalia, I'm just saying this more at an individual level. You know, it is not just your fight. This has now become the people's fight. Is there something you'd like to say to all our viewers? And will you please take a couple of calls from our viewers today who want to speak to you, Mr. Kalia, and convey their feelings to you?
Welcome.
I'm now going to put across a few callers to you, Mr. Kalia. And Mr. Kalia is father of Captain Saurabh Kalia. And this entire story today emanates from the fact that General V.K. Singh, Minister of State for External Affairs, has in a reply in Parliament made it clear, and he says that the possibility of seeking legal remedies through the international courts was also thoroughly examined but not found feasible. This is exactly the position that existed earlier of the UPA government, you know, who had said principally the same thing, that you cannot, you know, take this matter up at a level of an international court of justice because it will mean essentially bringing the whole Kashmir issue to an international jurisdiction, or there'll be an international debate on the Kashmir dispute, which is something the government does not want to do. Now, the Narendra Modi government and the Manmohan Singh government, it appears, have principally the same point of view. And to summarize this very quickly, I'd hand over to Anand, and I'm going to come back with more. Anand.
Yes, absolutely. And we are taking your calls at this point. Mr. NK Kalia, Edison has called in from Chennai. I hope you can hear him. Yes, Edison, go on, please.
Yeah, so like... I've seen all the political parties do strike for small things like this, that and all throughout the country. But in case, if the military is going to go on a strike, what's going to happen to our country for this issue?
That's a point Edison has raised in. But Mr. NK Kalia, do you also believe that it is only for the soldiers? For the soldiers, something has to be done. The government has to stand up and say those who lay down their lives for the country will not be left in the lurch. And you've been fighting for 16 years to get some justice for Captain Kalia.
I can say that I am not alone. The whole media is with me, sir, and lakhs of people in India and abroad are always standing by my side. Through your media, I want to thank all of them.
Yes, sir. So we have another caller on the line for you, Mr. Kalia. And just as a quick summary before we go across to our next caller, Mr. NK Kalia and his family, they've been fighting this really, really difficult battle as far as getting justice for Saurabh Kalia is concerned. In 2012, Mr. NK Kalia actually moved the Apex Court seeking a direction to the Ministry of External Affairs to approach the International Court of Justice for action against Pakistan army men who killed his son in violation of the Geneva Convention on the treatment of war prisoners. I'd like to know from you, Mr. Kalia, what is the update on that petition which you moved before the Supreme Court? Where does it stand now, sir?
It is still standing. I'm informed that next hearing is in August 15.
So, and what has been the position of the government? The government must be signatories, or at least parties. They must have been also told to respond to this. What is the response of the government to this petition?
No, it is more or less the same. They will improve their English and do the same logic again and again.
And how difficult is it for you, Mr. Kalia? I just want to know, how difficult is it for you as an individual, as a father who's fighting an individual battle for you and your wife and your family, to sustain this litigation in the Supreme Court? Because what angers a lot of people is the fact that you are really being left to fight your own fight. The state is not with you. The state, in fact, may be positioned against you in this matter, Mr. Kalia.
No, this is not for Captain Saurabh Kalia and his 5 soldiers. This is for the entire army. It is for the honor trustees of the Indian Army, who is doing everything for the nation.
Now, how are you managing this fight, sir? You are there in Dharamshala. The fight is going on at the Supreme Court. How are you managing, to sustain this battle? It must be difficult for you as an individual to fight a legal battle here in the country's highest court. It's not a very convenient thing for you to do, and nobody is helping you. You are doing this individually, aren't you, Mr. Kalia?
No, I'm not alone. There are lakhs of people who are helping me, who are supporting me, and above all, the whole media is with me, and they are taking this issue time and again to awaken the Indian government.
Sir, we have with us on the phone line now GL Batra, Captain Vikram Batra's father. He's joining us on the phone line. He wants to say something to you. Mr. Batra, are you there, sir?
Yes.
Sir,
I feel that the government should do something regarding the Saurabh Kalia case, and they are fighting this long time. And the government should help them as they want. It should be tackled with Amnesty International and the Human Rights Commission.
I completely agree with you, Mr. Batra, but the fact is that right now, Mr. NK Kalia is fighting pretty much a lonely battle on his own. Of course, we are all there with him. The people of this country are there. The media is there, and well-wishers like you are there. But in your view, Mr. Batra, should Mr. NK Kalia be left to fight his own battle?
Please repeat.
I'm saying, should Mr. NK Kalia be made to fight his own battle? You know the pain that he's been through.
No, he is fighting his battle, and the society and the media and the government should help him. A single man can't do anything,
Right. That's right, Mr. Batra. Would something you'd like to say to him? He's listening to you now.
Right.
Is there something you'd like to say to Mr. Kalia directly? Okay, I think I'm losing the line there with Mr. Batra. Now I have Captain Anand with me on the phone line. Before I go to Captain Anand, just a quick summary. Captain Saurabh Kalia of the 4th Jat Regiment, the first Indian Army officer to report large-scale incursions by the Pakistan Army. If there is a hero really, it is Captain Saurabh Kalia. This happened in the Kargil region 1999. He was captured along with 5 soldiers in May 15, 1999. Bodies were handed over by the Pakistani army on June 9th, 1999, and the bodies had been burnt with cigarettes, eardrums pierced, eyes punctured, teeth and bones broken, limbs and genitals were also mutilated. Now, the injuries were all found to predate death, which means there is no doubt about the fact that it is the Pakistanis who committed these atrocities on Saurabh Kalia. Every political party says they'll do something to get him justice. The Bharatiya Janata Party, in the run-up to the general elections of 2014, actually went on record and criticized the Congress government for not standing with the family of Captain Saurabh Kalia and leaving NK Kalia to fight for himself. And at that point of time, the BJP was firmly in favor of India picking up the issue at the International Court of Justice and fighting for Captain Saurabh Kalia. However, right now we have a written statement from General VK Singh, who says that this government has found that the possibility of legal remedies through international courts are examined and not found feasible. In other words, they've dropped the idea of fighting for Captain Saurabh Kalia. There are angry reactions to that. Captain Anand is calling in, and he's calling in from Mumbai. Captain Anand, is there something you'd like to say to Mr. NK Kalia, please, this evening?
Yes. Good evening, Arnav. Thank you so much for taking me in, and we are grateful to you. Governments may pick up or may not pick up. Parties may pick up or may not pick up. But till the time Arnav Goswami is there, I feel such matters are never going to be left alone. And I say, Sir NK Kalia ji, nation is with you. I am till my last breath with you. You can take down my number from Mr. Arnab Goswami, and whatever your orders will be, whenever your orders will be, whenever you want, I'll be there till I breathe last. Until you are satisfied, before you die, you will get the answer for your son. Nation is proud on you. Nation is proud on your family, proud on your son. And whatever we are today in India is because of sons of you like other heroes. We are grateful to your son. Country is grateful to you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kalia, you know...
Thank you so much, Arnab. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Mr. Kalia, so many people are calling now. Mr. Bhimshen is calling from Bengaluru. Mr. Bhimshen, M. Bhimshen, please. Are you on the line, sir?
Hello?
M. Bhimshen. Mr. Bhimshen, you're on the line?
Yeah.
This is Arnab here.
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. You can talk to NK Kalia directly, please.
First of all, my heart goes out to Mr. Kalia, right? And secondly, I can empathize and sympathize with the people. See, everybody, every political party, everybody says that people are heroes on the war ground. But when they come back, right, and when they lay down their lives, they forget everything, and we treat them as heroes. That is number one. Secondly, why such an apathetic attitude? Why such a callous attitude towards dealing with someone? I can't understand one thing, first of all. Right, somebody has said that, okay, the matter cannot be taken to the International Court of Justice. But we can take up with Pakistan, right? What is the problem there? If India can follow all the rules and regulations in letter and spirit, why can't it force upon, why can't it pressure Pakistan to force it? Or what stops us from taking a matter to International Court of Justice? A person has laid down his life, he has been brutally murdered, every kind of evidence is there against him. Now, what stops us from taking this? And on what premise somebody has said that, okay, this matter, outrightly somebody has said the matter cannot be taken at all. Now, as a general public, I don't have even iota of idea as to why such a statement has been made. Now, can't we sympathize with these kinds of people? Are we there only to lay down? See, I am an ex-Air Force. I understand the plight of the people. I was not in a war field. Still, I can empathize with those people. Now, tell me one thing, Mr. Arnab, through your channel, I would like to ask everybody here, is it that easy to go to the war field and face the bullets there? Number one. Is it my fault to get captured in a war? People get captured, but somebody has been maltreated in such a way. Is it not bounden on a part to just seek explanation from the particular person? And if they don't do this, can't we take the matter to the higher authorities? In every small case, okay, a matter goes from district court to high court to Supreme Court, and things are done very fast. And when a soldier lays down the life, okay, for the sake of the country, remember this, he does not even care for his parents.
Sir, this is...
In such a case, how do we have that moral courage to remove?
Sir, this is
absolutely callous on our part. They're absolutely bad.
Can I share something that I feel it is just a question of a nation not keeping up its commitment to a martyr's family? Because I'd like to read out from Jaswant Singh's letter. When Jaswant Singh wrote you a letter, NK Kalia, may I read out, please, parts of the assurance that Jaswant Singh gave to you?
If the same situation goes on, who is going to join the defense forces? Does America follow the same pattern as we do? Definitely not. Is the life of a captain or maybe a soldier or Jawan not as costly as the life of somebody else?
No, Mr. Bhimshen, it is just the callous way. You see, this letter is right now on our screen right now, and I want to get NK Kalia in on that. Mr. Kalia.
It is worse than a murder itself.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Kalia, this letter which we are quoting of Jaswant Singh in 1999 says, as a matter of priority, we will approach international organizations dealing with human rights and humanitarian laws. We will not allow this matter to rest. So this was a commitment that was made to you by the Vajpayee government.
Yeah.
And to say now, 16 years later, that we cannot keep the commitment...
If a person...
no, I just want to get Mr. Kalia in on that, Mr. Bhimshen.
If a person of the stature of Jaswant Singh has made such a commitment, Mr. Jaswant Singh definitely is a very wise man. You should have thought of all the pros and cons before making
There have been many governments since then as well, Mr. Bhimshen.
How can we straight away deny saying that we cannot...
No, there have been many governments since then, and you know, eventually, Mr. Kalia, does this commitment matter today? Have you ever asked these politicians, have you asked them directly what happened to the commitment you made to me and my wife in 99?
In fact, all politicians in India, they may say something else. They commit something else, and they act just the other way. But common man just his illusion.
Joseph is calling in from Mumbai. Mr. Kalia, I hope there are so many people who are calling, and I'm going to extend this for a bit, but I want you, Mr. Kalia, to know that there are these people from Mumbai, Bengaluru, you're seeing where people are calling from tonight, from all over the country, and how strongly people feel for you. And I'm pretty sure, Mr. Kalia, that if the people are asked to give their point of view on it, they will corner both the political parties. Because my problem with this whole issue is, Mr. Kalia, if they couldn't do it, they should not have told you that they will do it. The problem with governments and political parties is this, that sometimes in order to make sure that an issue does not become too big, they make a promise and then they fail to deliver on the promise. How would these politicians feel if a similar promise made to them was not kept? Joseph calling in from Mumbai. Joseph, you're there?
Hello.
Joseph, you're there?
Hello.
Hi, Joseph. Is that Joseph?
Yeah. Hello, Arnab.
Hi. What would you like to say to Mr. Kalia?
It grieves anyone to see what his father is going through, but not our politicians. See, when 90,000 troops were handed over to Pakistan by Indira Gandhi in Bangladesh war, nothing like this happened. The jihadis must learn something from the Israel. Israel will give disproportionate reply, while else we will give biryanis, cricket, and all nonsense. And in parliament, these head of parties have become jokers. All the head of parties, they join together in the RTI that they are beyond correction. This soldier who died for the nation and the hypocrites who are talking outside, belonging to all parties, high command, they have become like monarchs. And the parties who are electing and sending people, they care a damn. These are the people who we should straighten them up first. Don't attend their meetings. They bring people in trucks. All that money they waste. Who is going to ask them? They are not accountable to anybody, let alone the soldiers. This father who has lost his son was not even treated like a POW. What the jihadis think? They are getting away. Let them try it with Israel. Israel is surrounded by these madmen. You understand? What are we doing? We are having our fundamentalists who are ruining this country. This is what is the message. We are the people should understand that this kind of nonsense must stop from the high command. They are living like monarchs with all the collection of money and giving their party people parties. See the joints they go to, here, there, party. What are we up to? What are soldiers is going to do? Look at that man. For how many years he is going to fight this?
Sir, can I ask this question to Mr. Kalia? Mr. Kalia, tell me, how are you sustaining this fight at a personal level? At a personal level, my admiration goes out for you. I think everybody who's calling today is simply in personal admiration for you and your wife. That the grit that you must have, the perseverance you have, and if I may say so, the patience which you have with which you are carrying on this fight. What is keeping you going, Mr. Kalia? Tell us. What is keeping you going? Tell this government what keeps you going, sir.
It's a love, it's a respect, it's a sport, and a deep sense of longing from lakhs of people in India and abroad, and I'm getting the support of the media all these years, but it keeps going all these years.
But it must be difficult, sir. You even wrote a letter to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in 1999. So at a personal level, you've done everything that a father can do, that a citizen can do.
No, I'm afraid that we don't have any clear-cut policy towards Pakistan. Sometimes we play cricket with them. We invite their artists in our country. We have given them the most favored nation status, and in return, what Pakistan is doing to India, they are exporting terrorists. They are all the time pumping drugs, the fake currency, and whatnot. But Indian government but they did not have a clear-cut policy towards Pakistan. I fail to understand whether the Pakistan is our friend or enemy.
Sir, the Manmohan Singh government had at one point of time shocked everybody by saying that if it moves on the case, if it takes this case to the International Court of Justice, then relations with a neighbor country will be affected. So they had said that the relationship with Pakistan will be affected, and they went on to say that moving the International Court of Justice is not a legally enforceable fight. Sir, did you expect the BJP government to be different? Did you expect the BJP government to be different? Mr. Kalia, can you hear me, sir? Okay, I think we've just lost the phone line very briefly. I'll try and reconnect with Mr. Kalia in a minute. But I have a comment here which from a letter which was written by NK Kalia to the Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, where he had written that every soldier of every disciplined army fights for his motherland, and no one has or should have any regrets for the supreme sacrifice he makes for the nation. But one is filled with anguish and horror to learn of these dastardly acts of chopping off various limbs and organs of the soldiers, besides inflicting unimaginable physical and mental torture before shooting them down by your people in your country. He went on to write in his letter to Nawaz Sharif, "May I pose a few questions to the perpetrators of the crime? Are they not human beings? Do they not have children? Is there a jungle law in your country? Does your culture teach you to treat humans like this? If so, then it is a disgrace indeed. If our prayers are honest and sincere, the heartless criminals, the punishment for them would materialize." This is what was written by Mr. NK Kalia. We have another caller on the phone line, and I think I have Mr. Kalia back. Mr. Kalia, sorry I got disconnected with you in between. I was reading out from the letter that you had written to Nawaz Sharif in 1999.
Hello.
You can hear me, Mr. Kalia. You're back now, sir. I have another caller, Mr. Kalia, with me now, and the caller is from Bengaluru. Usha Rao is calling. Mr. Kalia, are you there, sir? Can you hear me, Mr. Kalia? Mr. Kalia, are you there, sir? And I think we've lost the line with him again. I'm going to get Mr. Kalia back, and in case you want to join our campaign, the hashtag is martyrs betrayed. Put the pressure, because if there is no other issue more justified than this particular issue. There is no cause that is greater than the cause of Mr. Kalia that is worth fighting for. A Kargil war hero, one of the greatest, a person who joined the Indian Army straight out of the Indian Military Academy, did not even get his first pay packet, went out there and his body was returned mutilated during the Kargil war. We have an official BJP reaction coming in on this. We'll get Mr. Shahnawaz Hussain of the BJP and see what he hears, and then I'm going across to Usha Rao from Bengaluru. Yes, please.
हमने तो इस इशू को उठाया ही है बीजेपी के लीडर के तौर पर, सरकार के तौर पर जब हम थे, और अभी भी हम पाकिस्तान को एक्सपोज करते रहे कि पाकिस्तान किस तरह से वॉर के बीच में जो रूल बने हुए हैं उसको कैसे वायलेट करता है। ये सारे विषय को हमने उठाया है और भी उठाएंगे। ये नहीं कहा गया कि उठाएंगे ही नहीं, लेकिन ये सही है कि पाकिस्तान को पूरे दुनिया के सामने एक्सपोज करना है, और पाकिस्तान की इमेज बन गई है कि वो कोई रूल को नहीं फॉलो करता। जिस तरह का व्यवहार उसने सौरभ कालिया के साथ किया था, उसकी आज भी हम सब निंदा करते हैं और उस विषय को हरदम हम उठाते रहेंगे।
बट गवर्नमेंट का रिस्पांस ये है कि क्योंकि ये फीजिबल और प्रैक्टिकल ऑप्शन नहीं है, इसीलिए इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस में इसको नहीं उठाया जाएगा।
देखिए, इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस में उठाया जाए नहीं उठाया जाए एक अलग विषय है, लेकिन पूरे दुनिया के सामने हमने इस विषय को उठाया और पाकिस्तान को एक्सपोज किया।
The father of Captain Saurabh Kalia is extremely disappointed by the government. He said that what UPA government could not do, they had a lot of expectations from the NDA government, but this such reports coming out has upset them yet again.
इसमें कहाँ जो जवाब पार्लियामेंट का आया उसमें कहाँ है कि नहीं उठाया जाएगा, उनका अभी निर्णय नहीं हुआ है, सिर्फ यही कहा गया है।
So क्या government?
Okay, General VK Malik is also with us on the phone line, but before that, Usha Rao from Bengaluru. Usha ji, are you there?
Sir, Arnab, good evening.
Good evening, please. Yeah. What would you like to say to Mr. Kalia?
Yes, sir. Arnab, I as an Indian hang my head in shame because we have let down a brave soldier, Saurabh Kalia, you know. the kind of torture he was subjected to in the Pakistani prison sent shivers down our spines. And the BJP government at the center has let him down very badly. This is the way we treat our martyrs, our brave heroes. And how is this government different from the earlier UPA government? And why has the present government given up the idea of approaching the International Court of Justice? And all that successive governments have been doing is offer mere lip service to our martyrs. But I want to know, why do they lack the political will, Arnab? But we the citizens would like to tell Saurabh Kalia's father that we are with him in his fight for justice.
Absolutely, he's hearing you. Mr. Kalia, you heard Usha Rao, she called from Bengaluru, she was talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have another caller, but before that, I'd like to get General VK Malik on the phone line, I think is... General VK Malik, are you there, sir? VP Malik? General Malik, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am there.
How are you, sir? Sir, we have NK Kalia with us on the phone line. You were the army chief then. And now,
yes.
16 years later, the government has said pretty much what the Manmohan Singh government said, that we are not going to do anything as far as approaching the International Court of Justice is concerned. This is doubly disappointing, General Malik, because the BJP had picked up this issue in a big way against the Congress before the elections. Now they are saying the same thing. What would you like to say to NK Kalia? I mean, that he's pretty much left to fight for himself. How fair is this?
No, I don't think it should be left to, it is, I think, our responsibility, everyone's responsibility in the country, that we should support his case. I don't know why the Ministry of External Affairs is not taking up this issue with the International Court of Justice, but if there are any problems, I think diplomatically it has to be taken in the, whether it is in the UN or any other body in which they can... Hello?
Sir, if there were problems, then the BJP should have known about it earlier. They are not novices in politics. But they raised the expectations. They told Mr. Kalia that they will fight for him, and now they say they are not going to do anything.
Look, I don't know what is there in the files which has prevented the present regime not to take it up. I agree with you that they should not make any promise unless they know the whole case. But whatever has been said now, I feel that it should still be taken up diplomatically so that the perpetrators are condemned. And here it is, we are not talking of a few people.
So we have the evidence. So we have the evidence of how he was tortured. We should just take them on.
That's right.
This is a very weak-kneed position, sir, to say that, oh, it's going to affect the Shimla agreement. Oh, it internationalized the Kashmir issue. I don't think under the Shimla agreement, there was an agreement to mutilate the bodies of fellow soldiers.
There is no agreement anywhere in the world which can accept this kind of nonsense. But what I am saying is that, I can't go into details of what the government and why they are. All I'm saying is that we should still bring this whole thing, this issue, before the international community in whichever forum, because people who have done it, they must be condemned for it. And they should not do it.
But that's what they won't do. That's what they said they would do, General Malik. And that's what they've decided not to do. And I now want to ask Mr. Malik, just 1 minute, General Malik. Mr. Kalia, is there something you'd like to say to General Malik, please? You heard him there.
Firstly, of course, one has a lot of sympathy for him. And I still feel that he should be supported by the government. And in any international forum, this matter should not be left at this stage. It should be taken up, whether it is in International Court of Justice or diplomatically in the United Nations. Why not? There also people should be condemned, those who have done it, so that they don't do it again. And that is what Mr. Kalia wants. And that is what I think everyone...
Mr. Kalia, is there something you'd like to say to General Malik, please, before I let him go?
I'm so grateful to General Malik. He also visited our house in October 1999, and he assured me that as Army Chief, I will take up this issue with the Indian government.
Yeah, that is what, Mr. Kalia, remember we had taken it up. I had written a personal letter to the Minister of Defense as well as Minister of External Affairs those days.
Thank you so much, General sir.
Thank you, General Malik. Thank you very much.
I still feel that, this fight should continue. This issue should not be dropped, because people who have done, they should be brought to book so that this kind of a thing doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. Well, this statement was made by General VK Singh in reply to Parliament. We'll follow the story. Thank you very much, General Malik, for calling in. Dr. Grewal is calling in from Delhi. Dr. Grewal, good evening. What would you like to say to Mr. Kalia, please?
Arnab, good evening to you first.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
And absolute regard, respect and salutations to Mr. Kalia. My question is, after all this is happening, what is the message that is going to the parents of prospective army personnel? How is a man going to be motivated how is he going to motivate his child to join the army? Is he going to see this type of treatment to the next of kin? The government does not have a redressal system to look after the issues of the next of kin. Who is looking after officially? In my view, there should be one officer who should be designated by the army to look after Mr. NK, the gentleman. Is there a person, one point contact person in the defense services whom Mr. Kalia can look up to? Is that system available to the next of kin to the army today? If it is not, how will I have a son who's a major in the army? I'm a son of a defense officer who died in an air crash. I know what the next of kin goes through, and I can empathize with Mr. Kalia what he's going through. He has a battle to get the honor of his son on one side, and he has a social battle, how to still support people to join the defense services. What message are we giving? Are we not supposed to motivate our youngsters? Forget the government. We as a society, as a community, we need to motivate our youngsters and say, come on, join the forces. Unless the next of kin supports, and I don't find any single one army officer. At the day of the funeral, there is a gentleman from the army who is deputed to be the officer on duty for the funeral. After that, the family is left to fend for themselves. Through you, I request the government, you should have somebody from his regiment who should be available to Mr. Kalia for the rest of his life, so that he can talk to 10 other people and say, well, my son is gone, but the armed forces is still looking after me. I have 100 more sons replacing my son. Is that not possible, and is that not a fair demand?
I think it's more than fair, Dr. Grewal. And I'm sure Mr. Walia, who's watching this, reciprocates the sentiments which you put out, as do we. We are told the government will issue a statement on this particular case. Mr. Kalia, do you think the time has come for the government to actually say whatever the consequences of going to the International Court of Justice are, there will be no more worthy cause than to go to fight for Captain Saurabh Kalia? It does not matter. Pakistan will always try to internationalize the Kashmir issue. You cannot link the so-called internationalization of the Kashmir issue to fighting for Captain Saurabh Kalia. That's at least my view, Mr. Kalia. But you saw there the way Dr. Grewal felt. Everyone across India is standing by you as a citizen, as a father, and as a brave heart's father, Mr. Kalia. And I'm still getting so many calls today. I want you to. I want to convey this to you and to your family. How many people are with you today? And you know this, Mr. Kalia, that every time we pick up the case of Captain Saurabh Kalia, how people across the country respond.
I'm so thankful to everyone.
So we have some more callers. Nishant is calling in from Mumbai. Nishant, good evening. What would you like to say to Mr. Kalia?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, Mr. Kalia. My heart goes out to you. My simple two questions to the government. Had they reacted the same way, had this body been of a political party or a political person or a high-fi person who had been martyred, and had they reacted the same way, That's one. And second and final question is, if they can go back on their promises like this, what promise can they keep that OR, the one rank, one pension promise that Mr. Modi has promised on his Mann Ki Baat yesterday will be kept on?
Absolutely. I think it's a valid point, Nishant. Thanks for your call. Now, Mr. Kalia, we're going to pick up this whole issue on the News Hour tonight as well. I want to thank you at this stage. My colleague Anand Narasimhan is here and he will take a few more callers to you. First of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you are giving us so much time today, that you are speaking to us, and for taking some of those callers who are trying to reach out to you. So, Mr. Kalia, may I please hand over to my colleague Anand Narasimhan, who's going to take this forward, Mr. Kalia.
Well, thanks for that, Arnav. The next question to Mr. Walia, as we wait for our, as we'll bring in queue in our next caller, Mr. Walia, is that we've got M. Bhandarkar calling us from Mumbai, Mr. Walia. So going across to him before I put my question across. Yes, Mr. Bhandarkar.
Mr. Kalia, we are very sorry. As a citizen of country, I feel ashamed that this country has not done anything for you. We voted Narendra Modi thinking that he is a Loha Purush, Iron Man. But it turns out to be he is a Trojan horse, full of turncoats. They have promised one pension, one for one rank. They have backtracked on it. Now they should take it to the international court. If it fails, it fails. But not trying is the greatest insult to you, your son, and to the nation. Thank you. I am always with you.
Thanks for calling in, Mr. Bhandarkar. Mr. Walia, you heard Mr. Bhandarkar. Go ahead, sir. So you agree with Mr. Bhandarkar? And you know, the next hearing is sometime in August, somewhere around the 25th, if correct me if I'm wrong. And do you believe you will be able to make a strong case? Because there are, legal experts who believe that a case can be made, especially in terms of challenging, because Pakistan has violated the Geneva Convention and on a humanitarian basis, the treatment meted out to your son and to the soldiers who are with him.
Of course, I'm quite hopeful and I'm optimistic that the Honorable Apex Court will do something in this direction.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Kalia. So what is it? Will you also present the evidence that was there of the Pakistani soldier who made those commitments and made those confessions on Pakistan TV? We also have Pervez Musharraf coming out and saying that contrary to what the Pakistan state has maintained that they were terrorists, he said that we had given these people army status and they were working in collusion with us. So all that should also strengthen your case. The fact that they were not terrorists, it was an act committed by the Pakistan army or those commissioned by the Pakistan army.
I may inform you here, sir, that all the evidences are with the Defense Ministry as well as with the External Affairs Ministry.
So they are with them, but they still have not done anything about it. Even in the case of violation of the Geneva Convention, they have a strong case. Mr. Kalia.
Well, I think that you can take a house of thorns, but you can't make it drink.
And what has been the response subsequently? Do they say one thing to you and another in the court?
No, I think that on this subject, our learned counsel, Mr. Arvind Kumar Sharma, can elaborate better.
No, but what I'm asking you is in terms of what they had, the assurance you got from the political fraternity, the leaders when they met you in person, and the stand then later on the government took as far as the courts and the official position is concerned. Was there a dichotomy? And have you been let down consistently over the last 16 years?
No, in my personal experience in the last 16 years, they were all hollow promises made to me. that it will be taken at international level. It will be taken with Pakistan. This thing, that thing, nothing more. They were all hollow promises.
Why do you feel they have? What is the message, do you think, that the government is sending to the soldiers by not addressing the issue of Captain Saurabh Kalia and many others?
No, it is unfortunate that the Indian government is doing, because army is the very important, very vital organ of any government. The civilians are safe. Our nation is safe only due to armed forces.
Wing Commander NK Samal is calling us from Bhubaneswar, Mr. Kalia. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. Yes, Wing Commander Samal.
Hello.
Good evening, Wing Commander Samal. Go ahead, please. I request you, sir, to turn down the volume of your television set and speak to us, please.
Firstly, Mr. Kalia, Mr. Kalia, many salute to you. Yeah, I've done that.
Thank you, sir.
Firstly, many salutes to Mr. Kalia for being a beloved father of the Indian Army. I have joined 68 and fought the war. I know what it is. I have 3 points to state to Mr. Kalia. The Indian government foreign policy should have been by now should have changed to see that Indian forces should have been taken care of. The POWs who were taken, their treatment has been laid down in Geneva. At the same time, the many governments in the past have decided how to deal with. And the next of kin who have been facing a lot of problems like Mr. Kalia, so the responsibility about not only the Parliament, not only the Prime Minister, but the Supreme Court also. The case by now should have been fought by the Supreme Court or the government, not by Mr. Kalia.
Agreed, Wing Commander Samal, and I'm going to go across to Mr. Kalia on that. Many of our viewers, Mr. Kalia, believe that you should not have been fighting this case in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court and the government should have been fighting this case for you. That's what the people believe, that the establishment should have been fighting this case for you, this matter for you, rather than you having to fight a lone battle for the last 16 years.
This I can do for our armed forces.
But it also pains you, doesn't it, that you have to do it, whereas it should have been them who should have done it for you, who should have done it for your son.
No, we are all proud of our armed forces. This is the least I can do for the honor and for the prestige of our army.
What have you been urging the centre to do? If they turn around and tell you that it's not feasible, sir, we might lose this case, would you at least want them to go ahead and fight it?
No, at least, but yeah, they should exert and assert.
You also, when you're speaking to Arnab a short while ago, you said that forget International Court of Justice, this matter has not even been dealt with or raised significantly, even bilaterally with Pakistan. Why do you say so? What is it that you would want them to do, sir, the government to do?
No, it was promised about 16 years back that this issue will be taken with Pakistan. But I'm afraid it was ever taken or it was discussed at any level with Pakistan.
Do you believe that an explanation that comes from Pakistan saying they were not state actors, they were terrorists, and the fact that there is doubt whether or not Captain Saurabh Kalia was indeed tortured on Pakistani soil, will you accept those statements?
No, the Pakistanis, I am ashamed, but yeah, to say they're all liars. in the rest they will state something, and other the rest they will state something opposite.
True. Nidhi Rathi, Mrs. Nidhi Rathi calling us from Bathinda. Good evening, Mrs. Rathi. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. I salute courage of Mr. NK Kalia. He is a great crusader, and this is a big cause. The whole nation supports him, and it is my earnest request that government also gives him all the support required. This is a very sensitive issue. Look at the age and look at the way in which his spirit is going ahead. So for the cause, which is a global cause, if you see, and Captain Kalia was a brave soldier, and we salute his martyrdom. We want that some justice should come through, and people who are responsible should be taken to task.
True, Mrs. Rathi. We also admire NK Kalia's spirit and his attitude, because he still believes that despite fighting on alone for the last 16 years and getting nothing in return, he still believes that there is some justice at the end of the road, and there will be some justice for his son, who laid down his life for the country. Thank you for calling in, Mrs. Rathi. Rajiv Sinha also calling us from Noida. Yes, Rajiv Sinha.
Hello.
Good evening. Go ahead, please. Rajiv Sinha, can you hear me?
Hello, Mr. Kalia. So sorry. Sorry. I salute to you. It's not just a question of the army. Hello.
Go ahead, Rajiv Sinha. Mr. Kalia can hear you.
Yes.
Mr. Kalia, it's not just a question of the army or anything. We are all normal people, and we all know what is happening.
Carry on, Rajiv Sinha, carry on. Go ahead, please.
We know what is happening. It doesn't happen to be in the army to be what is happening. But the way we people behave, the way we behave as if nothing has happened. It's such a serious matter, emotional issue, serious issue, psychological issue. And we try to make it as a very simple matter that 15 years have passed and nothing has been done. And why nothing has been done? Because we want to play cricket. Just imagine the people around that we are staying in, that they want to play cricket with these types. How can you even think of that? How can you think of that? Those kind of things. I mean, it's such a grave matter, emotional issue, serious matter, and we are fighting all over all the places, and it doesn't have to be in the army. We don't have to be in the army to behave like that. We understand what is happening, you are going through, right? You have to listen to all these kind of things that it sounds so silly, in fact. And it seems so bad that we have to face this kind of thing. You have to face all these things. It's not that we all have to. Martyrs are all martyrs. They are so brave soldiers. But we have to be, very serious about this kind of emotional about it. I'm sorry about this, but I salute you all. I salute to you and all the martyrs that were in the country.
Thank you, sir.
Rajiv Sinha, thanks for calling in. Suman Ghosh, Mr. Kalia is calling us from Kenya. Yes, Suman Ghosh.
Mr. Kalia, good evening, and good salute to you and your son. These are the people who save our country and us from these barbaric people from Pakistan. One thing I want to say, these politicians are promising many things, not only to your son, to the entire country. Until today, they have not delivered in any of the promises. Can we not, as a citizen of this country, can we not give it back to the politicians? If we do that once, only once, they will come into line. Everything will fall in place. Can we take a conscious decision and do something for this?
Mr. Kalia, would you want to respond to Suman Ghosh?
Thank you, sir. No, I want to thank him. I want to thank him for all the sentiments which he has expressed.
The other thing, Mr. Kalia, is there are plenty of callers coming in, and we are also standing by for an update in terms of just a short while ago we said that the government is readying a response, and it could be led by the Union Home Minister itself. There is also a word coming in that the External Affairs Ministry has also gotten a little active. We are given to understand that the Foreign Secretary has called for a meeting on the entire matter regarding your son, Captain Saurabh Kalia. So there is some traction, there is some movement happening. We'll see what the government's response will be. But do you believe that the government, if it puts its heart, can do something? And it can rise above this, excuse that it's hiding around, saying that if we raise the issue of Captain Saurabh Kalia in the international forum, the issue of Kashmir will also be raised? Is that a right explanation? Do you buy that explanation, sir?
No, India is a huge nation. It should exert and assert itself at the international fora. But such incident cannot be ignored by a nation like India.
True, sir. And what can be done? Kuldeep Mishra joining us from Stockholm. Mr. Mishra, just please stay with us on the phone. Just a follow-up question with Mr. NK Kalia. Sir, what do you think the government can do?
So it can do everything. Since it is in power, it has all the information, all the evidences. But I'm a humble citizen of India. If I can think so many things, and our think tank in New Delhi, they can do anything.
Absolutely. So if they really put their mind to it, and they can not only get justice for Captain Saurabh Kalia, but they can hold Pakistan accountable to it and still rise above and raise this entire matter of war crimes by Pakistan on the international forum. And we totally agree with you, sir. Let's go across to Kuldeep Mishra joining us from Stockholm. Yes, Kuldeep Mishra.
Yeah, very good afternoon, sir. Mr. Kalia, we salute you. Entire country is behind you. You are not alone. I came to know about your son, and I am feeling very touched. The way he went through in his life. He was a young soldier. He was true patriot of the country. And I am very much upset. At this age of life, you are struggling to get justice for your son. Please don't worry. God is with you. We are all with you. Number one, Government of India, the way they lobbied to get Commonwealth game in India, in the same way they should lobby to get justice. Even Geneva Conventions are not supporting in full way. It doesn't make difference whether they are terrorists or they are Pakistani soldiers. They were not coming from the heaven. They were the butchers, and they were coming from the enemy country. The Government of India, Ministry of Defense, they should go ahead to fight the case with the international justice. They should not keep quiet, and they should not step back. They should go ahead with you. And by doing this thing, they are not supporting only you. They are supporting the whole entire generation who has ambition to go to join the Indian Army. Next point. All the foreign mission, they should work together to support the Indian Army. They should make a collective effort to create a platform where they could impose a strong lobby network to nab the Pakistan and their dirty network. So, and one last question that I am sure the Supreme Court of India must be listening to this debate, because then and then they take sumoto of many small cases. But why they are keeping quiet for this important case? This case is not only related to
Sir, the matter, Mr. Mishra, the matter is pending in the Supreme Court. A petition was filed. The issue was raised by Mr. Kalia himself in 2012. That matter will be heard in August 2015. And let's hope that there is a decision by the Honorable Supreme Court which will please Mr. Kalia, because he's been fighting for this cause for more than 16 years. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Mishra. Commodore GJ Singh also with us on the phone. Good evening, Commodore Singh. Your point of view, and Mr. Kalia is live with us. What would you like to tell him?
Anand, I would only like to say here that this problem is the problem of Geneva violation. It is not the problem of Jammu Kashmir problem. We are going to international court for justice. We are not going there for resolution of Kashmir problem. We are going for justice. We are not going there for bilateral dialogue or bilateral ties. So this excuse given by the government that this matter cannot be taken in the International Court of Justice is surely nonsense.
Yes, sir, fair point, Commodore Singh, and that is why it is also a debate tonight on the News Hour, because is there any reason why the government should duck, dodge and deny justice to Captain Saurabh Kalia? Is this explanation even feasible or viable? It's a violation of a Geneva Convention. It's a war crime that's been committed. Our soldier was tortured on the other side by Pakistani soldiers, and shouldn't they be brought to book and shouldn't they be brought to justice? Why does Mr. NK Kalia have to fight this war alone? Why isn't the government with him in trying to bring justice and honor to Captain Saurabh Kalia and his 5 colleagues who were tortured and brutally murdered and their bodies handed over back in 1999? We're going to wind up this special broadcast on that note. Sincerely thank and really salute Mr. Kalia for the fight that he's waging on and the fact that we are with him. And this campaign continues here on Times Now. The hashtag martyrs betrayed. Mr. NK Kalia, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And I'm sure you appreciate the support that's come through you from across the world and across the country. They're all with you in your fight for justice and honor for Captain Saurabh Kalia. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.